House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he has the votes to pass his debt limit bill. The plan would raise the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion or through the end of next year, whichever comes first. It limits government growth to 1% over the next decade, and it promises $4.5 trillion in spending cuts. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us now here on set. Good to have you. I do want to get to Kevin McCarthy, but first, there's some breaking news about the DA in Georgia. I know you've been covering this case extensively. She says that we might prepare for charges to be filed against Donald Trump this summer.
She wasn't that explicit, Caitlin. Okay. This is DA Fani Willis, who is currently overseeing the investigation into the former president, into whether or not there was election interference in that state. And so she sent a letter to the Fulton County Sheriff, basically kind of putting him on notice, saying, I may be making an announcement sometime between July 11th and September 1st. And so given the interest in this case, you know, it was kind of just a heads up to law enforcement, just so they can start making preparations. I mean, we certainly saw in Manhattan right before that indictment came down, law enforcement really had, and that's in part how we found out that an indictment could even potentially happen, simply because we saw that law enforcement presence. That not only was law enforcement put on notice, but then we saw that stepped up presence in the days leading up to the former president coming in Manhattan. So similarly in Georgia, I think the district attorney is just trying to put law enforcement on notice. But this is significant because we have been wondering for weeks, if not months, how far along this investigation is, when she might make a decision. And this is really the first time we have seen concrete dates that she may be nearing the end of this probe.
Yeah, it's an important reminder that as much as we've been covering the Manhattan investigation, that these other investigations have been looming. And this is something that a lot of other Republicans are looking at to see when and if there is an answer to those. So we will stay tuned to that. Okay, let's come back here to Washington and talk about Kevin McCarthy. He seems confident that he has the votes. I want to play a little sound from an interview that he did talking about kind of where he is.
We will hold a vote this week, and we will pass it, and we will send it to the Senate. And for more than 80 days, where the president has ignored us, called people names for things that he even voted for himself, makes no sense or logic to it. I think as president and the leader of the free world, this is one of the problems we have challenges around this country, around the world. He needs to show leadership and come to the negotiating table instead of put us in default. This is risky what he's doing. He's threatening the markets.
So he says he has the votes. I know you covered his speakership race very, very closely. Do you think that he does have the votes here? I mean, have Republicans coalesced around this plan?
Well, as you know, the speaker is kind of a half-glass-full guy, so he has continued to exude confidence that not only will he get this done this week, but that he will have the votes. He said as much to me last week, and he has reiterated that, you know, in his most recent appearance on Sunday. But that being said, you know, we do know that there are some Republicans who have some issues with the bill, whether it's the issue of work requirements, whether it's rolling back some of these energy tax credits by rolling back parts of the Inflation Reduction Act, which could hurt their districts. So we do know there's been a lot of arm wrangling and arm twisting over the weekend to try to get party rank and file in line. Of course, we'll have to see as lawmakers return tomorrow. They were out today, whether or not Republican leadership was able to change any minds, because they can only suffer, as you know, 4 defections. And as of our count late last week, there were about at least 10 Republicans we were hearing who may not be on board.
Doing basic math, that doesn't quite add up. Okay.
But again, some may, you know, now that lawmakers have had a chance to read the bill, and again, given some of these conversations that are happening behind the scenes, at least Republican leadership seems pretty confident they can get this through this week.
That clock certainly is ticking. One other item to get to, Clarence Thomas and calls for some kind of ethics investigation into him. I want to play a little bit of sound from Dick Durbin, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, what he wants to do.
If this were another judge, if this were a member of Congress, and it happened that some Texas billionaire came in and said, I'm going to buy your mom's house, and the house is nearby, and own this so she doesn't have to pay rent or a mortgage payment, you'd say to yourself, well, that's obvious. That's the sort of thing that needs to be disclosed. And I think Chief Justice should appear before our committee and explain something or explain the changes that he's going to make.
So he wants Chief Justice Roberts to appear before the committee. Is that likely at all?
Well, this hearing is still about a week away. But that being said, right now the Chief Justice appears to be punting a decision. You know, he gave a response to the committee, and he didn't exactly say yes, but he didn't exactly say no either. But he basically punted and said that this matter would be reviewed by the Judicial Conference. And while that's all and well good with the Judiciary Chairman, at the end of the day, as he explained, he feels that this is the Chief Justice's court, that he does need to explain the actions of Chief Justice Thomas. And he said one of the reasons he didn't even invite Justice Thomas is because he didn't even think Thomas would come in. He seems to have a little bit more faith that Roberts might. But again, it seems like a heavy lift. Either way, Durbin has made clear this hearing will go forth with or without the Chief Justice or Justice Thomas.
Yeah, a lot of spotlight on the ethics rules for Supreme Court justices, especially compared to members of Congress. You have a busy week ahead of you here in Washington. Nikole Killion, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.